All right, today we're diving into something huge: how an entire nation, India, is trying to build a complete top to bottom system for what we call ESG. That's environmental, social, and governance. It's a really ambitious plan. And really, it all boils down to this one massive question, right? This isn't just about a few companies changing their policies. We're talking about designing an entire economic ecosystem for a more sustainable future. So, how are they actually trying to pull it off? Let's get into it. Okay, first, let's just make sure we're all on the same page. When we talk about ESG, think of it as a new kind of report card for companies. It doesn't just look at profits. It asks, what's your impact on the environment? How do you treat people in society? And is your company run in a fair and transparent way? And this is the absolute key to understanding what's happening. India isn't just saying, hey, companies, you should be a bit greener. No, it's actually engineering a complex machine with all these interlocking parts, all designed to push the whole economy in one direction: sustainability. So, if you're going to build something that big, where do you even begin? Well, you start with the rules. You lay down the foundation, the official rule book that everything else is going to be built on. Now, what's so smart about this is how India's regulations are like a 1-2 punch. On one hand, you have Pillar 1, disclosure. The stock market regulator, SEBI, says, hey, top companies, you have to report on your sustainability performance. That's all about transparency. But then comes the second punch, Pillar 2, action. The Companies Act makes certain firms actually spend a chunk of their profits on social responsibility projects. You see, that's the crucial part, this dual mandate. It creates this really powerful dynamic where companies can't just talk a good game. They are legally required to report their data and put their money where their mouth is by actively funding social initiatives.
Okay, so a rule book is great, but it's just words on a page if you don't have something to bring it to life, right? So let's look at the actual engines that are driving this thing forward in the real world.
And this is where it gets really clever. They're using the power of money, the financial engine. So here's how it works. First, the big stock exchanges in India create these special ESG indexes, basically a best-of list for sustainable companies. Then, investors and the people who manage huge funds use these lists to decide where to invest. And the result? Money or capital naturally starts flowing to the companies that are doing a better job on sustainability. It's a brilliant incentive.
Next up is the environmental engine. And this isn't some vague goal to just be green. It's driven by very specific national missions that basically plug environmental goals right into how businesses operate. So, for example, the National Solar Mission is designed to get companies to pour money into renewable energy. The Electric Mobility Mission? That's all about pushing them to clean up their act when it comes to transportation.
And you can't have ESG without the S for social. The social engine is powered by all kinds of initiatives. You've got these huge government programs like Skill India, which is all about job training. But you also have a major push inside companies for things like diversity, gender equity, and hiring people from all backgrounds. It's about making sure that as businesses grow, society grows and becomes more fair right along with them.
Okay, so we have the rules and we have the engines chugging along. But how do you make sure the whole system actually sticks together and stays credible? Well, that's where the connectors come in. These are the pieces that reinforce the whole structure. One of the most important connectors is global alignment. See, India's ESG system isn't being built in some kind of bubble. It's specifically designed to line up with the big international standards, things like the Global Reporting Initiative and the UN's Sustainable Development Goals. And this is so important because it means Indian companies can compete on the world stage and speak the same language as international investors.
But this brings up a massive challenge. In today's world, supply chains are incredibly complex. They stretch all over the globe. So how do you actually track all of this ESG stuff and verify it with any real transparency?
And the answer to that challenge really shows how forward-thinking this whole system is. The solution is technology. Companies in India are starting to use things like blockchain to create untamperable records of their supply chains, and they're using AI to analyze all the complex data. It's about using 21st century tools to solve a 21st century problem.
So when you weave all of these connectors together, the global standards for credibility, the tech for transparency, and solid risk management, you get the most important output of all: trust. Trust from investors, from customers, and from the rest of the world. So let's zoom out for a second and look at the big picture that all these pieces are painting. This is India's integrated path to ESG excellence. You know, this quote really just nails it perfectly. It's not about any one thing. It's a system where the rules, the money, the national goals, and the technology are all designed to work together, to reinforce each other.
And the ultimate goal of this entire complex machine is actually very simple and very clear. It's to make sure that from now on, corporate growth is always balanced with a real sense of accountability to people and to the planet. Which leaves us with one last, really interesting question to think about. With a blueprint this comprehensive being put into place, could India actually be on its way to setting a whole new global standard for what corporate responsibility looks like? It is definitely something to watch.